understand? But because of lack of awareness, you find that most live performers do not know this. And so the number one thing here is contract management. Number one, you must ensure that your contract is well modeled to take care of your performance rights, and does not take out or take away those rights, and such that you are able to negotiate thereafter, even after that performance, such exploitation of those rights. So, number one, the prospect of performance rights is you must have proper contract management, you must have people that can properly negotiate, managers that can properly negotiate on behalf of live performance. Number two, you know, it's an issue that continually bedevils corporate management in Africa, which is having specialist collective management organizations. What you have in most African countries are general, quite widely based management organizations. You seldom see specialist collective management organizations. Of course, in some African countries, you see that you have some audiovisual collective management organizations. And like in Kenya now, I see that there is also a performance rights management organization. So, to protect performance rights, there's need to have performers identify with these specialist collective management organizations so that their rights will be protected, and those management organizations will be in the best stead to fight for their rights, collect issue licenses, collect royalties, and of course thereby they are able to take advantage of the economic rights that exist um, um, uh, to their benefit, you know. And so, of course, which dovetails to the last part of the prospects I have identified here, which is, active enforcement of performance rights. And that can only come in place where you have, good contract management, where you have a good lawyer, where you have a good manager, properly managing your affairs as a live performer, so that this lawyer or this manager would know that it will be best if I have an Africa-wide star, having a live performance, for instance, in South Africa. For instance, they won music show, you understand, or with the worldwide music show, whereby it's broadcast live in all parts of Africa. Then you should know that you are supposed to have an Africa-wide situation whereby your collective management organization will be able to sign licenses with individual collective management organizations in each jurisdiction, so that your rights will be protected in those jurisdictions, and the relevant CMO in that jurisdiction will be able to, go and fight for your rights, issue licenses, or seek enforcement of those rights as it concerns the performance rights. And so, essentially, there's a great deal to be done in terms of awareness, in terms of knowledge, in terms of knowing fully well that there is a place for neighboring rights in Nigeria. Sorry, forgive me, in Africa. And one thing we are here to identify, as I wrap up, is that we have few economic benefits in Africa. And essentially, one of those benefits we have as Africans is essentially in our intellectual property rights, in our folklore benefits, which all ties to neighboring rights. And so we should be in the best stead, to enforce these rights and ensure that the true benefits accrue to those who are entitled to it. I think I will wrap up at this time, and look forward to your comments and questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toyosi. That was a very insightful presentation. So to those who are who just joined us, we had Mr. Jeremiah Odinga from Tanzania take us through who performers are, the nature of the rights enjoyed by these performers, and then what are performers' rights. We've also had Mr. Toyosi Odumbaku from Nigeria take us through some of the exceptions of the rights enjoyed by performers and the prospects of performers' rights in Africa. Would move on to our discussants who have 5 minutes each to address the breach of rights. Would have one from Tanzania, one from Nigeria, and then another person from Cameroon. So Mr. Juma Atanas would begin this session of discussing the how to redress certain breaches of performers' rights. And he is from Tanzania and will take us through how it's done in Tanzania. Mr. Juma. Hi, Mr. Juma.
Hi.
Hi, okay, all right. So you have 5 minutes to address us on how performance rights are redressed, the breaches of performance rights are redressed in Tanzania. So please take us.
Thank you very much, moderator, and I appreciate all what has been presented by the first speaker, but also what has been presented by the second speaker. Regarding the breach of performers' rights and the way a person can obtain a redress in respect of that breach, we say breach exists when the exclusive rights which are granted to performers are exercised by other persons without authorization of their respective performers. So I will not repeat mentioning the rights, but what I can just take you through is with regard to the breach of these rights. So the rights will be breached if they are exercised without authorization of the performers. And therefore, if a person reproduces or distributes or rents or fixes performances of performers without authorization of the respective performer, we say there is a breach of the exclusive rights of that respective performer. And what do we say? Uh, this breach of their rights, of course, it is addressed in the international treaties, is how they have been pointed out by the speakers, but from each country that if a person does this, it will be defined as infringement of the rights of performers. And therefore, for instance, in Tanzania, we have the Copyright and Neighboring Rights Act, which regulates and protects the rights of the owners of performances. For instance, under this act, it is under Part 5. Part 5 of the act provides for the rights of performers, of which it is just the reproduction of what has been pointed out by Mr. Odinga, that we have economic and moral rights. So all these rights are provided under Part 5 of the Copyright and Neighboring Rights Act of Tanzania. It is an act of 1999. So the international community saw that having these rights without having enforcement procedures, it will be like having a toothless dog. That's why the comprehensive international agreement that I'm referring to, the TRIPS agreement, this treaty provides for an obligation to member states to WTO, that the members to the World Trade Organizations should ensure that in their national laws, expeditious remedies to prevent infringement and to deter further infringements should be provided in their national laws. And therefore, each country member to WTO, including Tanzania, is required in its national laws to ensure that there are provisions which gives remedies to the performance.